Hello Bloomington, I'm Mayor Tim Busse, and this is the Council Minute for the week of June 22nd. The City Council spent 2 hours on Monday night talking with Chief Jeff Potts about the policies and practices of the Bloomington Police Department. Of course, this conversation comes in the wake of the killing of Mr. George Floyd 4 weeks ago and the demands being heard around the country for police accountability and reform. For our council members, we've all been hearing from community members about how this moment is affecting them. Our staff members have been talking with members of Bloomington's Black, Indigenous, and People of Color, or BIPOC community about their experiences with the police and their concerns about different standards based on race. We need to continue listening to those concerns, and we will take action to respond. The council needed to understand the inner workings of the police department when it comes to issues like use of force, accountability, and community engagement and relationship building with communities of color in Bloomington. Here are a couple of things that Chief Potts shared with us and we want you to know about. First, earlier this year, a state working group led by Attorney General Keith Ellison and Public Safety Commissioner John Harrington released recommendations related to police-involved shootings and use of force. Chief Potts shared with us that Bloomington PD already had in policy and in practice 14 of the 15 recommendations from that working group. Second, Bloomington police officers go through a lot of training each and every year. Our annual training of officers is twice and sometimes 3 times the amount of training required by the state of Minnesota. Third, the Bloomington Police Department works with a group of community members called the Multicultural Advisory Committee to improve our relationship with BIPOC community members, and our staff has a community liaison position to coordinate this work. Fourth, the police department's page on the city's website has a link to submit a complaint, and right below the link for complaints, there is now a link to review the police department's policies so the public can see it. And finally, one of the challenges of police work is the number of people our officers encounter who are in mental health crisis. The city has been partnering with Hennepin County over the past year and a half to have a social worker skilled at working with people in crisis to help de-escalate situations and make sure people in crisis get the resources they need. And we learned that a lot of the information that people are most interested in, whether there are disparities in police work for things like traffic stops or arrests or use of force, whether there's a difference in how officers respond to white people and BIPOC people, that's information that is not consistently collected. Race is not tracked on much of our data, so we have some work to do on that. Now, I won't speak for other council members, but I will tell you where I think we stand right now. Friends, we have a lot of work to do. We need much more information about our police practices and our public safety outcomes so we can all agree on where our priorities should be directed when we talk about changes that may be necessary. We are not having a conversation about defunding or dismantling the police department, but we need to be clear with community members about what we are going to do and when. We have one of the best trained and most professional police departments in the state of Minnesota, but not everyone in Bloomington has the same experience interacting with police officers in the criminal justice system. The City Council needs to look at our role in setting expectations, being champions for justice, and making sure that our members of our community can be confident that the police department is serving them fairly and equitably. And frankly, we need to work harder to build relationships in this community. Trust is earned. It's not given freely. And for too many people in our community, there have been reasons not to trust. We have a lot of work to do, and I am encouraged. There are so many people in this community and on the City Council and in the police department who are willing to do that work. Of course, we're still managing our way through the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on the community here in Bloomington. This week, our team in Parks and Recreation had to make some tough decisions about summer programming, and I think the biggest bummer for me is that Summerfest for 2020 will be canceled. We had been holding out hope that we could delay it until September, but it just isn't possible. We draw about 40,000 people to Summerfest each year, and there just isn't a way to do it safely this year. In that same vein, we've also canceled our Arts in the Park summer music programs, and we're also canceling adult summer sports because, frankly, we're too late in the season to get our leagues started up. However, there is some good news. We are preparing for youth games and practices this summer. Our fields are being prepped so that youth athletic associations can begin playing games after July 6th. And all hope is not lost for adult sports this fall. We're planning to have adult sports set for this fall season so long as the state of Minnesota provides guidance on how to do it safely. Let's hope our statewide trend of coronavirus cases continues to decline, and remember, we are all in this together, and it's up to all of us to stay vigilant. The City Council also took action on Monday night on two programs, small business assistance and rental assistance, that will help members of the Bloomington community who are having a tough time because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The City Council approved a new small business emergency assistance loan program. Small businesses that are based in Bloomington will be eligible for forgivable loans up to $7,500. For the program, small business enterprises are those that have up to 20 employees and no more than $2 million in annual revenue. There's also funding for loans up to $3,000 for self-employed sole proprietor businesses. The program will be available starting in mid-July. And to help residents unable to pay rent, the City Council agreed to direct more money to our partners at Veep to provide rental assistance and help renters who may otherwise face eviction. The City of Bloomington received $270,000 of federal money from a program called the Community Development Block Grant to fund the rental assistance. The Council has also discussed mortgage foreclosures and how we may provide assistance for homeowners unable to make ends meet. That may become more clear in the next few months, but for now, the Council chose to first address the urgent need for renters. Well, that's a wrap on the Council Minute for the week of June 22nd. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll see you next time on the Council Minute. Stay safe, Bloomington.